What you've just seen is gameplay of a Star Wars fan game that was destined to never be finished. That all changed when I showed you a game called Star Wars Redemption just about 11 months ago. But because of the overwhelming support you gave the video and the developers making the game went back into production, and now the game is available for you to download and play today. That's right, after another year of development, you can now finally play the first version of Star Wars Redemption. But what has exactly changed in this new version? And more importantly, what can we expect from the game in the future? The answer is, well, quite a lot. So we'll be covering both of those points in today's video. But before we get into it, hey, my name's Charlie, otherwise known as the Family Bovine, and did you know almost 50% of you who watch our videos are not subscribed? So be sure to hit that subscribe button and ring that notification bell so you never miss out on future Star Wars Redemption updates. But with that all said and done, let's dive right into the video. The game starts at this beautiful main menu animation, and from here we can select up to 5 different levels. There is one hidden option in Urabesh, but before you get excited, no, you don't unlock that level. I thought you could, but it's in development according to the developers. So first up, let's jump right into the training room. Here we see our protagonist Maveen in all of her glory and animations. In a future update, this room will be a perfect place to hone down your lightsaber skills, as you'll be able to spawn droids in the center of the room and engage in combat with them. And to do that, Maveen has quite a handful of lightsaber techniques. By clicking the left button, you can see Maveen use the force to pull out both lightsabers and be able to swing them in full force. There are 3 separate attacks that can be chained one after another, which can lead to devastating results. Here you can see me flinging objects across the room with my lightsabers, and it certainly looks pretty devastating. Other moves that you can do is a sneak move, where Maveen reduces her movement speed and plays out a different animation cycle, and she can also block to reduce the amount of damage she takes from enemies. Here you can see she's using the force to put the lightsabers in an X formation in front of her, and it's a brilliant animation as well. You can see her just looking around the room, trying to sense any danger. When exploring the training room, you can see these small health pack upgrades. These are collectible, but they don't do anything right now. Just as a side note, you can also change your costumes. Maveen has 3 different outfits that ranges from a brown rusted clone trooper outfit with white painted symbols across the entire outfit, as well as a drooping cape from behind. Next up is a battle-worn clone trooper outfit. It's quite similar to the previous design, but it's evident Maveen will be wearing this post Order 66. And finally, one of my favorites is the original trilogy clone trooper outfit. Here you can see the bright white plastics of the armor, and it looks very, very snazzy. Better yet, you can also remove the helmet to show Maveen's face. And depending on what outfit you have, depends on what stage of Maveen looks like. For the original trilogy clone trooper outfit, we see Maveen in a more imperialistic design, with all of her hair tied back behind her head. We also see no face markings in this design either. Next up is the battle-torn post-Order 66 outfit that kind of looks like a older design on Maveen. And I'm only going off that information by going back to the 2 years worth of blogs the developer made when making the game. And as for the original clone trooper outfit, here we can see Maveen's current and most recent design, with her head half shaved and a lot of face markings to boot. But with that all done, let's move to the next level. Next up is Lumbaria Temple. Now, Lumberia is a planet that has been made by the developers, so it is canon, but it's this level that pushes the graphical capabilities of this fan-made game. And doesn't it look absolutely stunning? With all the luscious green foliage and all the little details with the rocks, the grass from the floor, the patterns of the stones, and all the little mushrooms growing from the stems of trees. It looks so alive and ready to be explored. So why don't we do exactly that? By traversing up the stone wall, we get to another section that shows these light blue creatures. This corresponds to the UI in the top left of how many you need to collect in this level. So this isn't a tech demo, this is actually a explorer collector on. There are objectives for you to do in this game. And the designs of these creatures are very reminiscent of Rayman 2, which is a big game that I enjoyed when I was younger. And my thoughts are correct, because it plays the same sound effect of you collecting a lum when you collect one of these creatures. Lumberia Forest is the second biggest map on this game, and there is about 30 of these to collect. Traversing is easy, however what I will say is some of the jumping and double jumping can feel a little bit floaty, so you can find yourself slipping off platforms which you think you landed. And as for correcting the little blue creatures, it can be kind of annoying because the hitbox is quite small and they move around pretty fast. So I just try to stand still in where I know they're going to fly by. But if you are creative, you can find many different ways to traverse the landscape, whether that be vicariously jumping from pillar to pillar or using rocks to gain some height. But after collecting everything we need in this section, let's move on to the next. And here we can see this massive landscape with water down below and all these little mushroom and wooden platforms to climb up to the next section of the mountain. There are tons of nooks and crannies in this level, and I won't go through all of it because I want you guys to play it and explore yourself. But one little neat feature I saw was some old Maveen artwork that was on a painting in a hidden room in this level. Because if you don't know, the developers have been working on a project like this for almost a decade now. So it's really cool to see some of the old artwork in this build of the game. But after collecting all the little creatures and exploring everything this map has to offer, you can find this really cool little cave where you can interact with the foliage, and it really shows off some Rayman 2 vibes here, which I absolutely love, by the way. The lighting here looks absolutely gorgeous as well. This is all created in Unreal Engine 4, by the way, and it's not using Lumen in Unreal Engine 5. But all of this looks so polished and clean that it looks like an episode from the Clone Wars. And it just goes to show how much we need a Clone Wars art style video game. But honestly, this is just the beginning. Let's move over to another level. The next one is Lumbaria Ruins, and this one's actually quite small. It's nighttime on Lumberia, and you have to scale this large mountain by jumping from platform to platform. And when you get to the top, you see this gorgeous foliage and beautiful moonlight rays hitting down on the ground. And once you've collected all the blue creatures, you can walk into the portal and move on to the next level. This one being Geonosis Canyon. Now this one is the biggest map of the lot, and there is tons of detail in this map. This one is Geonosis, it's going to be a desert scene, and if you look around in the skybox you can see acclimators hovering over the planet, and by traversing a little bit more into the level we can see these clone troopers firing down below, and looking out into the distance we can see these Trade Federation ships trying to leave planet, and of course they're unsuccessful. But this is not the coolest part of the level yet. But if we keep pushing forward we can find this active running droid factory. And the animation to this is fantastic. We see every stage of how a droid is made here. It's a little bit difficult to look because obviously you risk falling off and dying. But if you want to see the full animation of how droids are made in this game, I recommend downloading it and finding it out for yourself. Here I did struggle to find all the blue creatures. I'm still finding them now. It's a very big map and I definitely am sure I've missed a few nooks and crannies that are hiding away in this level. So if you find any secret areas that I might not have, let me know in the comments down below, I'll be reading them. And finally, the last level is Coruscant Space. Here we look like we're in some sort of building surrounded by other clone troopers. Unfortunately, you can't interact with them, but I do expect them to be useful in a future update. But after leaving the room through the doors and exploring the rest of the area, we can find things like an engine room, as well as the training room from the first level, and other weird pathways that lead to different rooms. But where are we exactly? Well, if I jump out of the hangar bay and look up, we find that we've been traversing through a fully sized Venator Star Destroyer. And looking around, we can see acclimators and Lucrehulks. And honestly, the 3D models for these ships look sublime. They're so good. Coming back into the ship, we do see some starfighters in the hangar bay. One that really impressed me is the Arc 170. Unfortunately, you can't jump in these. That's the same with the speeder bikes that you can find in Geonosis Canyon. You can push them around a bit, but you can't jump on. However, functionality will be given to them in a future update. I'm actually showing you some older footage where you can jump inside a cockpit and fly out the hangar bay. Same with the speeder bikes. Those features will come back in a future update. The reason this is a bit more stripped back is because the developers pretty much recoded this engine from scratch, and is very evident. If I show you gameplay from this current version and then compare it to an older version, you can see there's a big improvement to the animations and performance. But besides that, that's pretty much everything in Star Wars Redemption version 1. I've been speaking to the developer a lot whilst he was working on the new version and what is to come in a future update. Annette, who is the main developer lead on the project, has stated that right now this is just the exploration stage of the game. They're just about polishing up combat, which will be in the next update, and there you'll be able to fight off droids in every level, as well as spawn them in the training room that we mentioned earlier. Annette didn't go into too much detail on how the combat will go down, but in this very old footage we can kind of get an idea of what you can do, which is ricochet blaster shots, and the next update will likely include space travel. This is where you can pick out your favorite starfighter and choose to fly it around whichever level. We don't have too many details on this, but we will feature it in a future episode. Of course, if you want to keep up to date on everything that is Star Wars Redemption, I highly recommend that you follow Annette's ArtStation account. There he'll be posting new artwork, models, and blog updates to the project, as well as his YouTube channel, which I'll also link in the pinned comment down below, where he does also upload speed development of levels and models and designs, etc, etc. It's really interesting stuff if you want to get into game development yourself as well. Annette also wanted to make it clear that this is the first version of many updates to come to this project, and it was imperative to rebuild the game from the ground up now that they have a really talented programmer in the team now. Remember, Annette pretty much did the majority of everything on his own, but now he's got a brilliant animator and programmer by his side. And again, this project would not have happened if it wasn't for you guys supporting it. So thank you, because this is going to be an incredible game when it's finished. And for those of you who are worried about cease and desists, we've covered this loads of times before, and I'll put an info card in the top right where we do talk about this in more detail. Fan games like Star Wars Redemption are safe from C&Ds because they don't impact projects that are in development with Disney. This game is safe, and do not worry, we're not putting it in danger by covering it. But that's pretty much everything I have to show in this video. Go download it yourself. I'll link to where you can get the game and read more on its development in the pinned comment down below. And if you want more Star Wars Squadrons updates in video format, be sure to hit that subscribe button. But besides that, guys, I've been Charlie, you've been watching X2, and I'll see you in the next video. Take care, guys.